School year has left some Gauteng parents and children frustrated. This as the online system enrolled them in schools other than the ones they had applied to go to, or worse, they didn't have classrooms. To discuss this issue further, we are now joined by the spokesperson for the Gauteng Department of Education, Oupa Bodibe. A very good evening to you, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity.
Now, today we've been greeted by images of anxious and frustrated parents trying to find a school for their children. Last year, the department introduced technology to help streamline the application process. What's gone wrong?
Well, thank you. It has indeed been a stressful time for us at the department because we don't like the situation of seeing children that are outside of a classroom at the moment. The problem can be attributed to the following. Where parents have applied for schools early, those schools are full. So we can't take more than us, and we couldn't place them, and we've been scrambling to try to place them elsewhere. And obviously parents would object or appeal those choices because they are not their first choices. In the second instance, schools themselves have delayed in placement because remember, ultimately it is the school that places and then update the system. So there were those delays. Lastly, some of the parents have now applied late. And in the last 3 days, we've been inundated with people who are coming for the first time to apply. So we're trying to clear the backlog of the online as much as we're trying to help the parents that are coming for the first time. And today we can report that we've reduced the number from 58,000 to 35,000 of unplaced learners. Within that, it's even much lower because we have not yet updated the statistics because all our officials were very busy updating, helping parents in all 62 operation centers.
There's also been complaints from parents that have been queuing outside the Education Department offices that they're not happy with this online registration system. They're calling on the department to revert back to the old system where you have to physically register the child at school. Will this happen? Is this online application system working? Is it effective?
Can I then say that whilst we appreciate and understand the frustration, we are not going back to a manual system. Let me break it down. With a manual system, you will have to go to 3 schools simply to submit a form. We have incidents of parents sleeping over the school. And by the end of August, 90% of the people who had applied were processed and were given spaces in our schools. So in that sense, it was a relative success. It does not mean we didn't have problems, and some of the problems we're experiencing now. But in essence, the problem is not about the online system. It's about the fact that there's too much demand for Gauteng schools. So many people are moving in, and as much as there are also residential development in some areas, and it is those areas that we were not building new schools. The old schools can't cope with the increased numbers of people now moving into those areas.
What's the answer to that situation, though? I understand lots of people moving to Gauteng, so there's more demand. Do we need more schools? Are we going to build more schools? How's the department going to address this?
Our estimation is that we need 200 new schools. And how we meet in that demand is that for the last 3 years, we've been building and opening 13 new schools a year. However, what is clear is that we've been opening schools in township areas where there were no schools at all and have neglected the suburban areas. And so it will mean that we need to improve the number of classrooms in some of the suburban schools. And we think with the online system, we now have empirical data. We can no longer guess in terms of those demands and particular areas, whereas before we used to just guess estimate and in terms of planning our infrastructure.
Okay, so around 35,000 school children still to be placed. Give us an estimate on the timeline. When do you see this happening? How long is this going to take?
We think by the end of the week we should have cleared all the 58,000 that were outstanding, and now today 35,000. And it includes both parents that applied early and parents that applied late. We'll only be able to deal with parents that walked in for the first time on Monday from next week. And these parents have actually disadvantaged their children because remember, it's not just about placement. Once you decide to place a child, you must order stationery, you must order furniture, you need to allocate teachers. And what also very much complicating for us as Gauteng is that we offer all 11 languages plus 7 more. So we may need subject choices may complicate this matter as well.
Okay, so talk to these frustrated and anxious parents. You're saying by the end of the week, most of the backlog should have been cleared, and then parents that started applying late, next Monday, should they come to the Education Department offices? What should they do?
So we've set up 62 centers, and those centers have been busy helping parents, those that applied online and those that are walking in for the first time. Unfortunately, those who are walking in for the first time, they would have to wait a little bit. But those who applied online, we are prioritizing them, and we want to give them spaces. It may not be at the schools of their choice, because schools of their choice are now full.
Okay, so today was first day of the schooling year 2017. Give us your assessment. How did it go? Did learning and teaching take place at all schools here in Gauteng?
We think it went well, and our critical pressure points are grade 1 and grade 8. And by starting applications in April, we're able to start in most of our schools teaching and learning today. And so we think it went smoothly. We even opened a new school, a primary school in Bramfisherville that will now be known as Nomzamo Matikizela Mandela Primary School. And it will relieve pressure in that area of Gauteng. And we opening 9 more schools this year, and we're adding classrooms in many of our schools. We're also happy that we're also dealing with the issue of inclusive education by building more schools for learners with special needs.
Thank you very much for your time. That was the Education Department's Oupa Bodibe. We'll be back with more news after the break. Do stay with us.
It was bound to be an interesting debate, yeah, with Donald and Hillary, him not even having bothered to prepare, so he was flying on instinct. And it didn't come across quite well. I'm starting a hashtag, medical fees must fall. There are many students who are protesting who are not necessarily violent. The students are saying the issue is how to implement, whereas the Commission's mandate is to look at feasibility.
Yeah. Among these countries, only South Africa allows same-sex marriages. Very concerning indeed, Prof.
Your sexual orientation does not demean your own humanity, doesn't make you less of a human being. That really is the essence.
Sports news up, cricket up first. Now the South African cricket team will be eyeing a clean sweep. This in the 3-match test series against Sri Lanka, when the third and final test match gets underway in Johannesburg Thursday. It will also be a special occasion for veteran top-order batsman Hashim Amla, who will become the 8th Proteas player to play in his 100th test for South Africa.
The Proteas have another rare opportunity to whitewash a quality test-playing nation at the Wanderers this week. The South Africans missed out the last time against Australia in the pink ball test in Adelaide. But this time around, the Proteas are wary of not taking their feet off the gas, especially after having emphatically defeated the Sri Lankans twice already.
You play a lot of international cricket and there's a lot of tough times. You don't get yourselves into opportunities like this very often. So for me, that becomes the focus. To try and make sure that we dominate the team that we're on top of at the moment. The whole series we've been really good against them, we've been consistent. So for me it's just an opportunity to make sure we win a series 3-0.
Meanwhile, the mighty Hash will join the likes of other legendary Proteas players such as Jacques Kallis, Graham Smith, Sean Pollock and Makai Antini, amongst others, as the 8th player to be inducted into South Africa's 100 club. Amla is going through a lean patch in his career at the moment, having gone 10 test innings without a half-century and 13 without a century. but he is the lone South African triple centurion and owns the highest individual score for the Proteas, an epic, unbeaten 311 against England at the Oval in 2012. In his 99 tests, he has scored more than 7,500 runs, including 25 test tons. And neither the captain nor his teammates are concerned about his run drought.
Of course, he's not scoring as much runs as he's doing now, but that's normal. For me, the play of what he brings off the field still offers a lot. So what he's done to my game, I said it just before, is the fact that Hashim, when he's scoring runs or when he's not scoring runs, is exactly the same person.